Hello students, how are you? Students, yesterday I explained 9 part of the lesson and today I am going to explain 10 part of it. I went home and ate a hearty breakfast. Since Aram the narrator is saying that after keeping the horse in the barn of deserted vineyard, he went his home and took a hearty breakfast. That afternoon, my uncle Khusro came to our house for coffee and cigarettes. And that afternoon, his uncle Khusro reached his house for taking coffee and smoking cigarettes. He sat in the parlor sipping and smoking and remembering the old country. And Uncle Khusro was sitting in the parlor and while sipping coffee and smoking cigarette, he was remembering about the past days of his life. Then another visitor arrived, a farmer named John Barrow, an Assyrian, who out of loneliness had learned to speak Armenian. And after a few minutes, a farmer whose name was John Barrow reached there, who was an Assyrian and he learned to speak Armenian language because of living in Armenia for many days. My mother brought the lonely visitor coffee and tobacco and he rolled a cigarette and sipped and smoked. And Aram's mother served John Barrow coffee and tobacco. And after receiving tobacco from Aram's mother, John Barrow spread the tobacco on the paper and rolled it to form a cigarette. And then he started sipping coffee and smoking cigarette. And then at last, sighing sadly, he said, "My white horse which was stolen last month, it is still gone. I cannot understand it." While he was sipping coffee and smoking cigarette, he took a deep breath and then he started telling that his white horse which had been stolen last month, he had not found in still. And he also added that he could not understand. He could not understand what he would do. My uncle Khusro became very irritated and shouted, "It is no harm." After listening the words of John Barrow, Aram's uncle Khusro became very irritated and shouted, "It was no harm. What is the loss of a horse? Haven't we all lost the homeland? What is this crying over a horse?" He shouted, "What happened if the horse was lost?" They had lost their homeland and that is why there was no need to cry over horse. That may be all right for you, a city dweller, to say, John Barrow said. But what of my Surrey? What good is Surrey without a horse? At this, John Barrow answered that it was easy to say that there was no need to cry over a horse for a city dweller. But his survey, but his cart was meaningless in absence of horse, and because horse was pulling the cart, and then John Barrow was able to earn money. That is why he was crying over horse. Pay no attention to it, my Uncle Khusro wrote. After listening the words of John Barrow, Uncle Khusro again shouted, pay no attention to it. I walked 10 miles to get here, John Barrow said. At this, John Barrow said to Uncle Khusro that he reached there after covering 10 miles. You have legs, my Uncle Khusro shouted. At this, Aram's Uncle Khusro again shouted and said that he had legs. John Barrow had legs. That is why he had not to say that he reached there after covering 10 miles. My left leg pains me, the farmer said. And after that, John Barrow said that his left leg was paining. Pay no attention to it, his Uncle Khusro again roared. His Uncle Khusro again shouted at him, pay no attention to it. If his leg was paining, then he had not to pay any attention to it. That horse cost me $60, the farmer said. And the farmer again said that he purchased the horse in $60. I spit on the money, my Uncle Khusro said. After listening the words of farmer John Barrow, his Uncle Khusro, Aram's Uncle Khusro, again shouted that he spat on the money. He got up and stalked out of the house, slamming the screen door. After listening these words of Uncle Khusro, John Barrow got up and moved out of the house by slamming the screen door. Now students, I think you will have understood the meaning of this part of the lesson. Now I request you to read and write the explanation which I will provide you in written, and tomorrow I will explain the next part of it. Thank you and have a nice day.